obviously there's 1,000 keywords or 1,000 search terms. You're not going to be doing this for every single one of them, but you can hone in on the ones that are most important to your brand and the ones that drive the most sales. You can at least find out what's going on for those and then take actions to protect it with the right action.
Lunch with Lou, lunch with Lou, lunch with Lou, lunch with Lou, lunch with Lou.
Hey everyone, it's Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about a really cool report. We're going to be touching on 5 ways you can use this report called the Search Query Performance Report. We're going to learn about the actual report, what it's all about. We're going to find out why it's a game changer and its uses. All right, everybody, welcome to Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. Okay, I got to tell you, I don't know if I'm looking at the camera or it's way above me, way below me. Anyways, we've set up the new studio and we haven't had a chance to really test it out. So we'll see if we keep it like this or we change it for the next podcast. But today we are talking about 5 ways to use the Search Query Performance Report. Our guest, a returning guest, CEO and co-founder of PPC Ninja, as she has been how about we try this again? She's been in the e-commerce industry for over 10 years and is passionate about helping other sellers with creative Amazon PPC strategies. She's one of my favorite guests, Ritu Java, and she will be joining us in just a second. But first, let's have a word from our sponsor. Launching products isn't like it used to be. To successfully launch your product, you need to hit that algorithm from all sides. Driving external sales, boosting social signals, and increasing product listing engagement are fundamental to success. Rebate is the first and only launch platform that delivers across this broad range. Get your product featured on Amazon.live through Rebate's influencer program. With this service, your product gets instant exposure to large audiences of shoppers and permanent placement on Amazon Influencer Storefront, which drives perpetual sales. Run a sweepstakes campaign on Rebate and connect with shoppers off Amazon. And lastly, drive external sales with tried and true deals campaigns. Visit rebate.com today and get started with your 14-day free trial. And welcome, Ritu.
Hey, Norm.
Hello, how are you?
Good to see you again.
And good to see you. I got my new setup. One thing we didn't think about was where I put my coffee. So if you hear it fall over and spill, you'll know that it wasn't a really great spot. Kelsey and I are not very good at planning out, spaces like this. Anyway, we've got a really good show today. I'm so happy you were able to come on, and what a great topic. So why don't we just start here? Why is this report so important?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as most of you know, this is like Amazon's attempt at giving us more organic data, right?
Right.
So for a long time, PPC has been kind of this game that we're playing without knowing a lot of things that are happening on the organic side. So there was like this plethora of tools that came up that started doing things like reverse ASIN. So they relied on scraping, right? So basically, just to explain it briefly, these tools will basically scrape lots and lots of Amazon pages, build a repository, and then give you approximated or kind of extrapolated data on what search volume you might be getting for certain keywords. And as you know, Amazon PPC is all about the keywords game. Really knowing which keywords will work for your products or not is like a super important question. And funny enough, we didn't have that data from Amazon for the longest time. It was other tools that were trying to fill in the gap. But in the beginning of 2022, they started doing these beta tests with certain larger kind of clients, and it was interesting to see the evolution. I actually was part of just listening in a little bit on the kind of back and forth feedback that was going on with the Amazon team that was designing the search query performance, and they were really seeking feedback on what is it that people actually need. Why is it that they have to go outside of Amazon to get that data? I mean, it's obvious that search volume is like a very important number, and then in addition to that, just knowing how much like share of voice we have for each search term and so on. So Amazon started giving us that data, and this is just the beginning. They are going to add more to this report. Already in the past, I think 6 or 8 months, we've seen so many new features, like tiny features and improvements that have been rolled out. That have just made life so much easier for everybody. Actually, it's really great for SEO, and it's really great for PPC. And I'm really excited with the new features that they're rolling out at this point that give us the ability to really design our PPC around what really works, right? So yeah, it's super interesting and exciting. Really good times that we are in right now.
So with this report, you gave us a really broad overview, but what makes this the game changer?
Yeah, so let me explain a little bit about what it is, like what are the different types of data that are shared in this report, and then I can tell you how how it is a game changer. So the first thing I want to say is that this is a list. It's basically a list of search terms, right? And they give you up to 1,000 search terms for your brand, right? So that's, just imagine it. It's a list. It's got all your search terms that led buyers to your products, any products, right? And then they give you a lot of information about that, such as what was the search volume of that search term, what were the number of impressions that went to your brand versus all other brands, what was the number of clicks that your brand received, with respect to other brands, what were the number of add to carts, and then also number of purchases for every single one of those 1,000 keywords. So that's pretty cool, right? Because you can see a funnel right there. You can see that you get the whole breakdown of impressions to clicks to add to carts to purchases, and you can easily kind of see those drop-offs happening at different stages of the funnel with this kind of data. So it's like a flat table in a sense, right? But once you start really extrapolating the insights from it, there's a lot that we can get out of this report. The other thing that they've also shared in this report, which is kind of interesting, is information about price points, which is kind of cool, right? We get to know what is the median price point for other products that are selling for a particular search term. So let's say my search term is garlic press or something like that. Let's say it's garlic press. And we want to find out what is the range of garlic presses selling, like at what price point are they selling. They give you that information as well. Now, of course, it's a little you need to kind of extrapolate that, because they give you a median, not the range exactly, but they give you a median, which is the midpoint, right? So you can see where your brand stands with respect to competitors. And I don't know about you, Norm, but I'm just seeing more and more and more, mainland Chinese brands coming and dominating the space. So there's so many cheap products on Amazon these days that the median is shifting lower. It's kind of skewing towards the lower end more and more. And you can see that very clearly in this data. In fact, you can even go back in time, which gives you the ability to compare different time periods and see what the performance was a year ago versus what it is right now. And it's pretty cool for that reason.
That's pretty interesting that it shows that a year over year comparison. I like that.
Yeah, so the thing is, it won't do that unless you ask it to, which means
Right.
that you need to download this report first, and then you kind of do that extrapolation. So there's a lot of extrapolation required, and I know it can get a little bit, Excel intensive or spreadsheet intensive. But at the end of the day, if you have real questions you can ask those questions and you can get that data out by designing your your queries and the way you structure your Excel. But there's a lot, so that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to basically share like 5 of my kind of favorite, kind of not the usual obvious kind of things, but slightly creative and different ways in which we can use the search query performance report.
Great. Before we get to the 5 tips, the information, the funnel that you were talking about, how can people use that information to be more successful? Or is that one of your 5 tips?
It is actually. It's one of the 5 tips. Yeah, and I mean, I'm happy to jump in right now as well. So just to briefly say it, like if you are seeing a drop off between, the impressions to clicks, if you see that there's a huge drop off there, or if you see a drop off in any of the further, further down bands, you can actually identify what your weakest, conversion rate is, and then you can try to fix that with the appropriate, response. So, for example, if let's say you're seeing that people are, clicking into your ad but then not buying or not even adding to cart, that there's a problem with something, higher up, like they haven't really been sold on the product yet. Or let's say if you know that the add to carts are extremely high, but then the sales are very less, then you know that there is some sort of like maybe comparison happening between your product and other products. So there's those insights that you can get out of studying the funnel. Now, obviously, there's 1,000 keywords or 1,000 search terms. You're not going to be doing this for every single one of them, but you can hone in on the ones that are most important to your brand and the ones that drive the most sales. You can at least find out what's going on for those and then take actions to protect it with the right action.
Very good. Okay, so now that I got you to jump into one rabbit hole, 5 tips. Why don't we start at, I guess, the second one?
Yeah, sure. So is it okay if I present my screen? Of course,
absolutely. Now we're going to have to describe it in case
Yeah.
people are listening to this on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So yeah, so that's my screen should be visible now. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so the one that I had kind of, this is a little bit of an obvious thing, but identifying missed keyword opportunities is one of the suggestions I have for the search query performance report. Now, what this means is that, you guys do your keyword research, right? You figure out which keywords are the most relevant. You can figure out, what the search volume is and so on, and you set up your ads and you're starting to see data. Now, you'll be surprised that when you go into the search query performance report and download it, you will be able to find keywords that Amazon thinks you're relevant for, but you aren't advertising those proactively. So especially if those are in your top 10, they give you a ranking, and that ranking does not mean keyword ranking on the page or anything like that. It is just a unique rank, and it's called the search query rank, performance rank, which is just ordering your search queries for your brand in a certain way, which basically tells you that the most important ones are at the top. So the lower the number, the more important it is. So what you would do is you can sort that list and find out the most important, search terms, right? And then you can see if you've missed any of those. So how do you do that, right? So now that Amazon is providing a download button, this wasn't available like 2 months ago. It's just pretty recent. It was announced around Christmas. That's when they start giving out their Santa presents. And so this is now downloadable, which means you can do a lot of fun analysis with it. So let's look at, downloading it first. So your search query performance download. And then you have, of course, your list of advertised keywords from whatever tool you use, whether you're using our tool or anybody else's tool. You can simply download the keywords view, and then you can do a VLOOKUP and try to figure out which ones are missing. So that's an easy way. I mean, it's a pretty obvious one, but the thing that I want to say is that, whatever Amazon is giving you their blessings for, you want to double down on that, right? Which means that if Amazon thinks you're highly ranked in their eyes, and if you're not, bidding on those keywords, there's an opportunity lost there. So, I actually did this for a couple of our brands, and I was like, wow. I mean, I didn't think that I would be missing such important keywords, but I was. And I found out some cool stuff there, and then I created campaigns just to be able to take advantage of those.
Very good. I love what you're talking about, just missed opportunities that Amazon is saying, hey, you're relevant for this. You got to take advantage of it, or, you just lose.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all about knowing where you're getting any amount of traction and then doubling down on that, right? That's the general formula, so to say, when it comes to Amazon, because for the most part, we're all, trying to read the data in some ways. Now, if the data is telling us that, hey, this is a good keyword for you, then you've got to take action on it, right? And so this is one of the places that we've been using a lot more now to find out any kind of missed keyword opportunities. So that's my first one. The second one is basically looking out for your share of voice. Now, share of voice is just a fancy way of saying that, you have a certain number of impressions that are going out, right? And then your brand gets a certain slice of that pie. So just imagine like a circle, a disc, and then a slice of that is going to your brand or your collection or your catalog, right? So if you can find out what your share of voice is for a certain keyword, you can basically then split them out into strong keywords and weak keywords, right? Some of those keywords you'll have like 0.05% share of voice. Now, is that a strong keyword or a weak keyword? It's a weak one, right? You obviously, no matter what you do, you're probably not going to be able to, bring it to the top 10 or whatever. So don't waste your money. Don't, that would be an advertising decision that you can make based on looking at what the data is showing you. You're very weak. You're extremely far out in terms of visibility. So it doesn't make sense to push something that's not working. On the other hand, you'll find your strong keywords where you have a decent share of voice already, which is again another way of saying that Amazon has blessed you. So double down on those keywords because they are your stronger ones. And you can basically be very confident in your advertising with that knowledge, that these are my better keywords as compared to these other ones, right? We cannot have the same treatment for every single keyword. So where do you look for this? So I've just given you a screenshot of the three columns that talk about impressions. The first one is the search funnel impressions total count. Then you can see the search funnel impressions brand count, which is basically for your brand, right? The total count is for everybody, and the brand count is for your brand. And then they do a percentage of that, right? They just divide the brand count by the total count. You get a brand share percentage. So that's your share of voice for a search term. And they give you this information for every single one of those 1,000 searches, right? So here you can basically sort this list descending and find out your those keywords that you're very strong in. So when you do that exercise, you'll probably notice that the things that float up to the top are generally your own branded search terms. So I would generally eliminate those in this in this analysis, because I want to find real words, right?
Right.
Not just my branded keywords that I will somehow rank for anyway. So you want to find those that are non-branded, and then you can easily figure out which ones are your strong ones and which ones are the weak ones that you thought you wanted to push, right? So that way you're doing the right thing, right? You're doing the right thing when it comes to advertising.
But you're not saying don't go for your branded keywords, right? You're just saying just remove them from this report to check out the relevant ones, but continue the brand defense.
Yes, yeah. So, when it comes to share of voice for your own branded terms, you're likely to be close to 100%, right? You're likely to get most of those anyway. So that's not like a new revelation or anything like that. This one is to find out, which non-branded keywords you can promote with confidence because Amazon has given you their blessings. And just to reiterate, this data is all-inclusive, which means it includes PPC and organic, both, right? So that's kind of pretty cool. So that's my second point.
Okay.
The third one is, the third one is identify your top 10 competitors for each search term. Now, basically within the search query performance, there's the general kind of all brand data, but then you have another tab there that says ASIN. And now when you click on that tab, it will give you a list of searches there as well. And you will notice recently they've added this. You can actually click into those search terms. Once you click into them, then you will see 10 competitors for every single search term, which is really, really cool. Earlier we had the brand analytics data that gave you the top 3 converting search or top 3 converting ASINs for a search term. You could get the conversion share and the click share for those, but that is the search term in general across everything. This one basically will be at 10 of these competitors will show up at the individual search query level. And you can basically look up the ASIN. As you can see on my screen, there's a screenshot. It gives you the product title of the competitor. It gives you the ASIN, so it's easy. You can just click into it and find out who they are. They also give you the brand, so you can even see if a brand is repeating multiple times, then you know that they are strong here. So that's another kind of way of like eyeballing this list and finding out who the other people are for this. And of course, you can see the price point, which is really interesting. They give you the median price point that each of these competitors is selling their products for. So you can see if you have a chance or not. So that's kind of a very cool way of looking at this data and looking for competitors and seeing how strong you are as compared to them. Another way I could use this data is to do your product targeting, right? Your usual product targeting with, let's say, a sponsored display ad, which shows up very close to the buy box area. That's generally a very good placement, right? So if you can use this list to figure out which competitors you do want to go after because they are higher priced than you maybe, or have something that is not as favorable as what you're offering, then it makes sense to go after them. So this is another kind of way of discovering competitors. Definitely the usual ways of finding competitors still are valid, like whatever reverse ASIN tools you're using, any ways you're using to find out competitors, that's great. But like I said, this is coming straight from Amazon. So there's no extrapolation. There is no kind of scraping involved. This is actually what Amazon is telling you that who your competitors are, which is really, really cool.
With this report as well, so seeing your competitors is one thing, but I don't know what you think about this, but seeing the prices, I love the idea, but not only if you see all these prices are much higher than your product, that might give you the indication that you're too cheap. And there's a reason, like if you go and take a look at your product, you might be able to bring up the price of the product. And, sometimes when you're looking at perception, it is price. So if it's apples to apples on a listing, everything looks good, the images are good, titles, everything works out, but the price is different. I know for babies, for pets, this is absolute that I'll go for a better, even though it might be from the same manufacturer. So it's private labeled here, private label here. I don't know, maybe I'm stupid, but I always buy the higher priced one because I think it's so much better for my pup, right? Or for the kids, or for, so sometimes you could do that. Or the other thing is maybe you're too high and everybody is 10 or 20% below you, and your listing just doesn't live up to that price point. Right. So that's another way of looking at it. But I really love, like you said, the idea that you get your brands and you get the price point beside it at a glance. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something that we've never had before, and it's very exciting. Okay, I'm
Oh,
gonna.
just one
Yeah,
one sec before you get to that.
yes.
We're towards the bottom of the hour.
Okay.
So if you have any comments about this, now have you used this search term report before? Let us know. Um, and how have you used it to your advantage? The other thing is, we've got a great giveaway today. A matter of fact, we got sort of two things today because Rita's so awesome, or Ritu's so awesome. And that is going to be a 30-day free trial with PPC Ninja. Is that correct?
Correct.
And I'll let you talk about the other one, which is really awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So the second giveaway is basically we have a 4 week mastermind. It's something that we've been running since 2020, I believe. So it's we've done 27 masterminds already, and it's hugely successful. We get sellers from across the world join in. There's people from the U.S., Canada. Europe, and then we have another session in the evening, my evening, which is Pacific time, and that matches up with Saturday morning on the Asia side. So Asia, Australia, New Zealand, lots of people joining in from there. So we actually run these sessions live twice in that same day, and so you can join whichever session works for you. And this is a 4 week free PPC mastermind session, and you can sign up at ppcninja.com/ppc mastermind for that. So that's my second. Of course, we have some minimum criteria to enter this, but for Lunch with Norm audience, it's going to be different. So I'll keep that for the end, but I'll hand it back to you.
Well, that's fantastic. And by the way, I heard about this the other day from Andy Aykroyd, who is your biggest fan, I think. Every time you put out a mastermind, he's out blasting, letting me know about it because he loved your mastermind. I guess it was last year when he attended. So this,
Yeah,
check it out. It's free.
it's free.
And Ritu does an incredible job. So, anyways, can't say it enough. Free is a good word. You're getting an excellent instructor, and plus it's hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, and you will get that 30-day free trial with the PPC Ninja. And we're going to also be giving away a press release today, so that's worth $200. So there you go. What a bonus. Okay, Kels, can we go to a commercial, please? I want to give a quick shout out to an incredible group of sponsors to help keep this podcast running. The Lunch with Norm podcast would not be possible without the support of the following sponsors: Post Purchase Pro, Clear Ads, Jeff Schick Law, Rebate.com, Honu Worldwide, Digital Blacksmiths, Netfluence, Extreme Power, and Startup Club. Now back to the show. Okay, and we are back now. Number 4.
Yes. Okay, so my slides. All right. Yeah, so number 4 is what I mentioned in the beginning. So this is about measuring your funnel performance, right? So you have impressions, you have clicks, you have add to carts, and you have purchases. Now, each of these stages of the funnel correspond to, sales. Sales. Um, what's the right word? Intent. So the first one at the top, the impressions correspond to awareness, right? At that point, people aren't really aware of your brand or your offering, and so it's more of like you're basically showing your ad, so people who are interested, who see that what you're offering is matching up with what they need, then they might click into your ad and see whether it's still all the details match up to what they're looking for. So that's the second stage where they start to consider you. So the clicks is matching up to the consideration phase, where people are generally doing a lot of research. They're clicking back and forth between different ads, and then they're trying to figure out whether it's a good purchase or not. And while they're doing that, they will, by the way, add you to cart. And add to cart is one of the most important signals, which is not talked of much, but it is pretty important for Amazon's algorithm, if the add to cart ratio is high, it generally gives you quite a bit of boost in the relevancy, because it shows Amazon that these shoppers are considering you when they are doing their research. So they will add you to cart, but then at the end when they're checking out, they'll delete you if they've kind of found something else that's better, right? That's how I shop as well. Like I put a ton of things into my cart, and then at the end I'm like, okay, save for later or delete. I'll do that step at the end, but at least it gives Amazon the signal that this is good. So add to cart is a new measure that's been rolled out in this report, which you can look at. And then you have your purchases, and the purchases basically is the sales that went to your brand. So if you look at the sales funnel, you'll see drop-offs happening at different stages of the funnel. So you can use this data to find that funnel, or to kind of build it out for the most important keywords. So the way I would do this is I would download the report, and I would look for those search terms that have a substantial search volume, because I don't want to do this analysis for everything, right? You want to do 80-20, you want to be focused on the most impactful searches, right? So you would download the report, sort it by search volume, pick up the ones that have a pretty decent search volume, and then look at what happens in your funnel. How are things dropping off? At what point do they drop off? And is there something you can do to maybe add some keywords in? I've been able to do this for certain brands recently, where simply swapping out the title with words that I know I'm getting a lot of attention for, but I'm not maybe getting a lot of conversions for, it's probably because I don't have that word prominently on my listing, right? So it gives me a little bit of insight into what words to pick, how to optimize my listing a little bit, and then add those words in, or prioritize words that are important. Another use case might be that, let's say you have 3 or 4 different products, all of them are advertising the same keywords essentially, because they are the same thing. They're just variations or slight differences from the main product. In that case also, when you share a lot of keywords across different products, you can also go into the ASIN view and do the same analysis for each ASIN, and then compare where the drop-off's happening. Maybe one of your products is leading to the sales of another product, so then you can also do a halo analysis alongside, which is a topic for another day. But we do a halo analysis internally at PPC Ninja for our clients on a monthly cadence, where we look at what is the percentage of sales actually going from one to another one of our products, and which one is a stronger one for each search term. You can actually look at that by looking at the funnels that you build out for multiple ASINs side by side. So yeah, that's kind of the funnel performance piece. Now you can find creative ways to do as much analysis as you want, now that we've got the downloadable report here. So at this point, the downloadable report is what they're calling a simple download, which basically means that a more advanced download is coming, and we don't know what's in there, but there's a lot of speculation as to what that is. But it goes without saying that Amazon is really invested in this report, and they are going to make a lot more improvements to it with time.
Very good. Yeah, the funnels are so important. From understanding the what was the term that you used? The intent, like going over there. It's cold, nobody knows you, to the click, right through to the purchase. It is so important that people understand how to create the funnel, not only for PPC, but this is the exact thing that you need for any type of paid advertising that you're doing. If people don't know your brand and it's cold, how do you get them to go to the next stage, to the next stage, and to the next stage? It's got to be very well thought out. And Ritu does that anyways.
Yeah, so I'll move on to the next point, which is so my fifth tip here is basically to compare price points for your different search queries. So a while ago, I shared how you can look at different competitors and find out, the median price for each competitor. Now, this one is across, all, regardless of a single ASIN. You can actually look up a search term and see what the price bands are, like how different they are from yours. So what I'm showing on the screen is a screenshot of the price median and the brand price median columns. There's two columns side by side. So when you look at them side by side, you can see my first example is showing the median price being $50, $50.99. Whereas my brand price for that keyword or for that search term is 119. So you can see it's a pretty much higher than what others are selling this product for. Whereas some other ones are not that different, right? There's one at the bottom here that's maybe 54 versus 96. Okay, so that's a little bit of a double. But then there's some that are they're almost the same, right? So this one 31.95 for the price, and then the 31.95 for the brand price median. So when you look at things in this way, comparing which keywords or which search terms have others that are offering products at a much lower price point, you can basically figure out the reason for why you might not be winning your PPC at an affordable rate, because conversion rates will definitely tank when others are offering something at a much cheaper price. But then there might be some searches that you and your competitors are pretty much in the same ballpark, and so it's not that much of a struggle. So you can find those gems hidden in this data if you look, right? You just have to look at it carefully side by side. And I'm just touching the tip of the iceberg. This report has too much stuff. Like, it's got so much that I can keep going on and on. There's so many more ways to use it, but I guess the first step I would recommend is to go back today and download it and see what you're seeing, and try to figure out some things. Like, just try to analyze it the best you can. Who knows, if you guys join our mastermind, we can have a quick discussion on this topic there as well. So so that's basically those were my 5 points. The way I'm seeing creative ways to use the search query performance report.
So this report, it's located under brands, and you'll be able to see the search term performance, catalog performance, repeat customer. I think those are all under the same tab. Is that correct?
That's correct. So you basically want to look for brand analytics. So you go into your brands and then go into brand analytics, and you'll find all those 5 tabs, including repeat purchase and demographics and all that stuff. So this is in that collection.
So curveball, how important is the repeat purchase?
I think that is important as a back of the head, because it's not going to change so often, right? Mm-hmm. If your brand is inclined towards like a repeat purchase rate that's higher, that's going to stay pretty much the same. So it's a good number to go and check, but you're not going to check it every day. Certainly not. Not even a weekly or monthly. It's something that you can look at once a quarter. That's when we look at things like that. Demographics or the repeat purchase rate, they don't generally change that much.
Okay, so these 5 items that you've pointed out today, where do you start? Where do you start to take action with the data?
Yeah. So, basically what you want to do is start downloading these reports, right? So at this point, the way they've, given us data is, actually, let me just show you the previous slide. So this data is, available for weekly, monthly, and quarterly downloads, right? So it won't be a trend line. You won't be able to see the trend line just yet, because obviously it'll be a snapshot, right? You'll say, give me data for the past week, and then give me data for the previous week and the previous week. And then you'll have to figure out a way to stitch these things together, unless Amazon comes up with a way to show us week over week, month over month performance. That would be cool. I mean, I would love that from Amazon, from this report. If they could just show us the trend, then we know how things stand. But, even just to start with it, just download your weekly, monthly, and quarterly reports Actually, you won't be able to download quarterly yet because they only give you data from September 1st onwards. So I think they haven't uh, officially started giving us Q4 of 2022 to download yet. You can see it, but you won't be able to download it. So let's say you download it today. Upload it to Google Sheets. I just love Google Sheets because it's so flexible. You can have multiple people working on it and so on. But upload it somewhere, like either to Excel or to Google Sheets. Upload it there, and then start to draw these, conclusions about, okay, what are my top 10 keywords? That, let's say we start with a few questions. Like number one, let me find out my top 10 keywords. Let me find out where I have the best share of voice. What are the keywords that I'm not ranking or I'm not bidding on yet, even though I am being blessed by Amazon? What are those keywords? Where is my funnel dropping off? So these are, a few things that you can do within Google Sheets, and you just need some formulas. Yes, you need to be a little bit savvy with formulas and things, but if you know the basic ones, I think it's pretty easy to learn, like VLOOKUP and things like that. So just start building out some analysis, and then you can go from there, because you'll know it. You'll see the data, and then you'll know what to do next, which type of data you will need next.
All right, very good. Now, do you have any other slides to show us today?
No, actually, that was it. Yeah, I wanted to keep it short and sweet so we can have question and answer.
Yeah, so we do have a couple of questions, and I know that you have a hard cutoff time today as well. So, so anyways, let's get into the questions, Kels.
Okay, yeah, so we have 4 altogether. Let's jump into the first one from Tony. What is the best to compete with competitors with much larger PPC budgets? How do you compete with competitors with much larger PPC budgets?
Yeah, you look for low-hanging fruit. That's what we do all the time. Like, there's always going to be someone with a bigger budget than you. There's always going to be someone willing to spend a lot more for visibility. So I guess if you're only looking for visibility, then you might end up spending a lot of your budget on just being on top of search. Whereas, if you have a strategy where you look for low-hanging fruit, that's on, our general mindset. Look for where I can do the best with the least amount of investment. Then you should be able to, at least keep yourself stable. Now, this is a very important report to find out where you're already strong. So it kind of gives you a baseline to go off of. And so look for all those places where you are strong, right? This is one. Your conversion rate data from ads is another place. Then you also want to look for competitors that have slightly weaker offer than yours. Maybe their price is higher. Maybe they have, their star rating is a little bit lower. So look for those. That's another low-hanging fruit. So there's a few different things you can do to always try to optimize with wherever you have some strength, instead of just being pretty equal about going after every keyword or trying to be on page 1 for a keyword that you have no chance at. So look at all these different tools to figure out where you actually stand with them.
Very good.
Okay, our next question is from Rad. We chose an agency to do PPC, and we stopped after 6 months, finding our tacos was 96%. Is it true that you do your PPC at different times? Can ChatGPT find more keywords for the products as well?
Okay, I'm going to answer the last one first because I actually tried it. So ChatGPT, I actually did that test just to find out if I can get some better keywords. But the thing is, ChatGPT is always going to be older than the latest that we have to offer, because this is, trained on data that was at least a year old, right? So they started training at 2021 or something like that. So you'll never find the latest. But the equivalent of that is what we discussed today, which is the Search Query Performance Report. And that has data from Amazon on the top 1,000 keywords. So you can always find more there, right? So that's, I think that's something I want to say about the keyword aspect. Now, when it comes to managing PPC, at our agency, we actually do, we basically do we ask 2 questions, and if the brand doesn't clear those, we don't really work with them. So I'll explain why and what those are. So first thing we check for is whether they have a decent conversion rate. Now, we all know that the conversion rate is what determines whether people are going to end up buying your product or not. So if you find yourself having an extremely low conversion rate, no matter what you do with your PPC, you're not going to be able to see a great result, right? So that's an important metric. If you can go into your unit session percentage in the back and look for what your conversion rate is, if it is less than 6%, 7%, I would say there's a problem on your listing that you need to fix. It doesn't mean that your listing is bad. It could even mean there's some other people on your listing that are selling something for cheap, like crazy. Or it could be that you have a negative review that's showing up prominently. Those two things, they're also part of your listing because they show up on your product detail page, right? So if your listing is for some reason not converting well, you want to fix that first before you invest heavily into PPC, right? So that's the first criteria we check for when we work with clients. The second one is that we should be able to pay for our services through the profit. I mean, we don't take on clients where, all of the profit that they make is going to paying for our service. That doesn't make sense, right? So we definitely look for an opportunity where they're making a certain amount of sales each month and that their profit margin can support a service like ours, because it's, after all, it's humans working on your account, right? We need to put in time, effort, creative thinking. Of course, we also have a software, right? So we generally use our software in combination with people, and that combination generally gives the best outcomes. And 96% tacos, is that ACOS or tacos? I'm shocked that it is so high. But in any case, yeah, definitely, if you start working with another agency, there's ways to kind of find out which direction they're heading early on, like before things go out of hand. You might want to just see, just clearly define what your goals are and then check in with them. Whatever, once a month, or if they're giving you weekly reports, like we give weekly reports and monthly check-ins. So if that system is in place, then you can spot those much earlier than when things go out of hand. That's very hard to recover at that point. So, but I'm sorry for your bad experience. I know it happens quite a bit. Yeah.
Okay, now we're getting right down. You got 3 minutes left.
All right, so we'll try to answer maybe one more from Claudia. What is your favorite type of campaign to run for a new product launch?
Ooh, that's a very good question. But the thing is, I don't have just one. Like, I generally have a strategy that allows me to find, the gem hidden, in the mix, because I don't know which ad type is going to take off. Yes, there's, generally speaking, the broad matches will go fast because they will go broad, they'll find you. Keyword discovery of keywords happens really fast with those, or with video ads. Sometimes a really attractive video can be a really high converting type of ad. So I don't know that unless I actually put those campaigns out. So my strategy is generally create all campaign types. At least we have like a baseline of different ad types that can give us a combination of enough reach and enough control, because without when you have reach, you don't really have control over the spend. So you want to have a good blend of category targeting ads as well as product targeting ads, and also keywords that are broad as well as exact, a combination of those that will get you movement. And then my strategy is look for which of these ad types is starting to give you the best results first, and then you double down on that. That's my philosophy across. Like you'll be hearing me say this over and over again in different ways and different aspects. Whatever is working, you want to double down on that. And there's no absolutes in the Amazon's world. Like by now, we all know this. There's no one formula that works for everybody. There's no one size fits all. So the data is what you want to rely on. And the best way is to try things out, keep the budgets low, keep the bids low, use an inch up strategy, instead of blowing through a lot of cash and then discovering that you have no more left to any more experiments. So if you want experiments, then you want to go low and then inch your way up. That's what I would advise for a new launch.
Okay, very good. All right. So if you'd like to enter the Wheel of Kelsey, it's hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, and you get a second entry. I think we should probably get right over to it, Kels.
Yeah, I think we can even probably say goodbye to Ritu if you have to get going if you're tight for time, and then we can continue on with the wheel.
Okay. Well, thank you
That
so
sounds
much,
good.
Ritu. We will see you later.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yep. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. And if you are interested in checking out PPC Ninja, just visit ppcninja.com. We have the link here, and you can still sign up for the PPC Mastermind from PPC Ninja. That's available for everyone. Ritu is
And if
doing
you like
this.
what you heard today, like Ritu, so awesome. If you like what you heard, these 5 tips, give her a like or, smash those like buttons anyways, if you haven't already. I thought today was really insightful with what she was talking about. But okay, so Kels, sponsor, and then let's go to the wheel.
Alrighty.
I want to thank Jeff Schick Legal for sponsoring this episode of Lunch with Norm. You've probably heard on the podcast about Amazon suspensions. They're very real. It can happen at any time. And when it does happen, how do you get out of it? How does the little guy like you and me get out of these suspensions without paying an arm and a leg in legal fees? This is where Jeff Schick Legal is here to help. For a very low monthly retainer, for only $89, get access to Amazon attorney Jeff Schick. That's right. You can sit back, relax, enjoy that cup of coffee while listening to the Lunch with Norm podcast, knowing that you have an advocate and a partner in your business success. But wait, just mention Lunch with Norm and receive 50% off the first 2 months. Get the protection you need and visit jeffschick.com today. That's JEFFSCHICK.com. Want more great information? Don't forget to subscribe by clicking here. Also, if you want to check out our latest podcasts, click over here.
Lunch with Norm.